Hey, what's going on? My name is Anthony. I'm a loan officer here in the great state of Florida. I'm starting to make some videos put on my YouTube, so I do appreciate everybody for subscribing, liking, and interacting with my videos. I appreciate it a lot. Growing my YouTube, so hopefully you love the content and continue to subscribe and watch my videos. So I appreciate everybody for tuning into this video today. So appreciate it. Um, some update news I want to go over. So in Florida, as a lot of people know right now, there was a hurricane that came through Florida, and unfortunately, it did devastate a lot of families in the St. Pete, Tampa area, also North Pasco County and North Florida. So prayers out to those families. I know a lot of people were having issues with flooding and stuff like that, especially since they were not in a flood zone, which is a tough situation to be involved with, because when you have a property that's not in the flood zone and the property floods, it becomes an issue and a headache with insurance, because if there's no flood insurance associated with the property, homeowner insurance tend to give you a hard time. So most of the times in that type of situation, I would recommend people reaching out to me, or I've been reaching out to my past clients to get a hold of FEMA or state programs that are available right now for people to utilize to get back on their feet in this current time of matter, especially with the hurricanes and natural disasters that we can't control. So a lot of that's been going on. I saw in, here in Florida, the Carolinas, Tennessee, Alabama, and it's tough to see, especially with people losing a lot of their personal items and losing their homes that they worked so hard for because of a natural disaster, which is unfortunate. But if you're looking for information, I'll have some information. You can reach out to me. I can get that information over to you directly, or you can check below under this video or in the description, and I will have the FEMA website who you could reach out to and get some aid or help in this time, especially if you were someone that was part of what's going on with your property being flooded, stuff like that, so that you can get the proper resources to get your situation better than where it's at right now. So if you're in that situation, you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, or I'll have some information in the description. But definitely check out the FEMA.gov website. They have a lot of information on there, especially with people in the areas that were affected by the hurricane. So definitely check that out. I know a lot of things going on right now. People want to know what programs are out there, especially with something like this happening as a natural disaster. FHA does have a disaster loan program. If you ever get into that type of situation, for example, if you are someone that their property flooded during the hurricane, or a natural disaster happened, FHA has a program, or mainly loan programs across the board have a program where it allows you to pretty much put your mortgage into forbearance so you can get back on your feet, get things situated, and then resume paying your mortgage once everything is squared away. Of course, the lenders are going to make sure that your property was truly part of what happened with the natural disaster. Just for this example, hurricane, of course, they're going to make sure that your property was in that area, was affected, and make sure that you qualify for that program, for the forbearance. That would allow them to definitely put your house in forbearance. And what forbearance is, it allows you to not make any mortgage payments for a certain period of time. So you and the lender will come to agreement, let's say 12 months, where you are not paying a mortgage for 12 months, but it's because of a natural disaster, help you get back on your feet. And then once you're back on your feet, you would resume paying them. Like I said, a lot of loan programs, conventional, FHA, USDA, VA, they have programs to help you in that type of situation. So always, if you are someone right now that are going through that situation and you don't know, or you're feeling distraught or upset or stressed out, feel free to reach out to me. I can try to help as much as I can with my resources that I have, or point you to the right place resolved as much as possible, as much as I can. So definitely, if you need any questions or have any questions about relief programs that are available to you, especially if you're in that situation, a lot of states and local areas have programs. They have people out on the ground helping people get debris picked up. find most of your belongings and help as much as they can to restore your home as much as possible. And these are volunteers, some federal programs, federal aid, state aid, or even local areas that are offering different aids for you in your time of trouble. So definitely look into that and see what's out there in your area. So every year, since we're on the topic of natural disasters, that's something that we can't control, which is very unfortunate because we don't know what's going to happen when we have a natural disaster. Especially here in Florida, we are prone to get a lot of hurricanes. We can't control when they're coming or if we can get rid of them. Unfortunately, it's part of Mother Nature. So we just have to prepare and pray and do as much as we can to protect our assets, our properties and stuff like that. But if a hurricane is coming to the state of Florida, right, they anticipate the hurricane to touch land Thursday or Friday. It's planned to touch land or hit land. If you're closing on Thursday and Friday, you're not closing, right? If you're scheduled to close on those days when the hurricane is coming in your area, you're not closing. I don't want to be the person to give you the bad news, but it's not happening. Lenders are not going to close, especially if they know there's an active hurricane or natural disaster going on within the area of the home that you are closing. They want to make sure everything's good to go. And also, insurance companies, if they know you're closing, they won't bind the insurance if they know there's an active natural disaster or hurricane. So Florida, for example, if there's an active hurricane going on and you're closing on Thursday or Friday, they're not going to bind that insurance until the storm passed, and they want to make sure that there's no damage done to the property prior to binding that insurance. And lenders and mortgage companies want to make sure that there is no damage done to that property before they clear all the conditions and make sure that it's safe to lend on that property. So they want to make sure everything's good. So like I said, if there's a hurricane, there's a hurricane out and you're supposed to close on the day the hurricane is touching land, you're not closing. I've had a real estate agent a couple years back told me when there was a hurricane going on here in Florida, and it did slightly go through the central Florida area, and they said, oh, well, my other lender would have closed this loan. No, they wouldn't have. No title company is open, especially when there's an active hurricane going on. I'm pretty sure that's least of their worries, is getting a deal closed when they want to make sure that their families are safe and their homes are safe, and no attorney's office is closing during an active hurricane because they're doing the same thing. And a lender wants to make sure that the property is not damaged. So if you're closing, let's say, for example, Miami, and a hurricane is coming directly through Miami, you're not closing that week. It's probably going to delay the process another week or two because they want to make sure that home inspectors or appraisers go back out to the property, make sure that there's no damage done to the property, nothing that can cause a delay, and they want to make sure everything's good before they officially lend on that property to you. If there is damage, they want to make sure that those damages are repaired. So really they're doing it to protect you and protect themselves. But if you're in the middle of a contract, you're closing, and there's a hurricane coming to Florida, you're not closing. Just a heads up, so in the future. I got this question recently. A person bought a property a while back from me, and they said, hey, I am not in a flood zone, but I would like to get flood insurance. You can add that on to your property if you would like. Some people don't add flood insurance because it's not required, and it's another expense on top of your homeowners insurance and everything else that's included with your mortgage. So if it's not required, it doesn't make much sense to provide it or say, hey, you're not in a flood zone, your property has been in this area for years, it's never flooded in this area, so here's flood insurance, right? Somebody might say, well, do I need flood insurance? No. Okay, I don't want flood insurance. But if you are someone that you say, hey, I'd rather be safe than sorry, I don't know what's gonna happen, I would like to add flood insurance to my property in case something does happen, you can always add flood insurance. Reach out to me. I have a pretty good insurance company that we use personally. that is really good at getting pretty good quotes and sent over to you and buying pretty quickly. So let me know. I can get some quotes running for you if you decide to get flood insurance, or if you want to shop other homeowners insurance or flood insurance companies out here in Florida, we can check that out for you. Like I said, I'm not an insurance broker. I'm just providing some information and help for those that are interested in getting that information. So trying to stay with the current news that's going on right now. So a lot of people have been talking about this Diddy situation. It's very unfortunate to see what's going on. It's kind of disturbing, but you know, it's crazy. But the one thing that I do want to talk about in this situation that he's going through is that he's selling his property in California for $61 million from what I see. And he bought it for $39 million in 2014, which is a pretty good come up. He's owned that property for a little bit and he's selling it in California. And he just paid off his mortgage in one of his properties in Miami, which, if you think about it, a lot of people think that, not everybody, but a lot of people tend to ask me, well, I have to wait 30 years to pay my mortgage or I won't pay it off. But at the end of the day, if you have the extra money, you can pay the property off as soon as possible, or you can make large chunk payments to the mortgage to get it paid down very quickly. Also, it goes to show that, you know, this person, you know, he paid off $18 million from my understanding of the balance that was owed on his property in Miami. I'm pretty sure he could have easily bought that property cash, but he decided to get a mortgage. So that just goes to show that he probably looked at things at an opportunity cost. So instead of putting all his money in a property and paying all cash, he said, I'll get a mortgage, use my money, make other business dealings, hopefully legally. And he, paid his property off when he said, okay, I'm not investing anything right now. Just pay off this property, have less overhead with this property in Miami. And just goes to show that you can pay your property off whenever you want. I'm pretty sure there is no prepayment penalty because that was one of his primary homes. So, it goes to show that you can pay your property off whenever. And that goes with everybody. So if you bought a home, let's say for $300,000, and I'm not encouraging you to gamble or anything like that, but you put in some prize picks and your team won pretty big, your parlay won pretty big, and you got paid out $350,000 and you wanted to pay your house off, you can do that, right? The mortgage companies probably won't be as happy because they're not making as much interest off of you, but you can pay your property off whenever you want. If you wanted to pay extra money to your property or additional principal payments to your property, you can do that as well. If you wanted to, let's say, for example, I'm going to put additional payment, additional 2 payments, or I'm going to drop chunks of money into my mortgage. So let's say you bought a property, your loan amount's $300,000. You said every year I'm going to save up $30,000 and I'm going to put $30,000 to the principal only for my mortgage. You pay that property off fairly quick. If it's a 30-year mortgage, you're going to pay it off way before 30 years, especially if you consistently put the $30,000 to principal only every year. So you would easily pay that property off. And you can pay your property off, like I said, whenever you want. Say you close today and 2 years from now you say, you know what? I'm actually getting pretty tired of this mortgage thing. I want to pay it off. I'm following the Dave Ramsey, steps, and I want to pay off my property. I want to pay off some debt. I want to pay off my property. I want to be debt free. You can do that. Nobody's telling you that you can't. I actually heard someone say, well, I have 30 years to pay off the property. I can't pay it off early. And I was confused. I said, well, you can pay your property off whenever you want. It doesn't matter. So, I watch a lot of college football. So I think that these are going to be pretty good picks for Saturday. Like I said, I'm not encouraging anybody to gamble or anything like that. I'm not gambling. I'm just picking some teams because I watch college football. Is pretty much what I'm going to do while I'm working as well. Got for TCU and Houston, I'm going to go with TCU. I think they're definitely going to win overall. I think they're a pretty good team. Oregon and Michigan State is going to be a pretty good game. I'm going to go with Oregon, but I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan State pulls off an upset. But I'm going to go with Oregon actually closing out the game. UCLA versus Penn State. I'm going with Penn State. Missouri and Texas A&M. I think that's going to be a pretty good game. I don't want to count Texas out. Missouri is also pretty good, but I do feel that Texas A&M could pull off an upset. So I might go with Texas. I'm going to go with Texas A&M. SMU and Louisville, I'm going to go with SMU. I think that they have a pretty good team, and they could actually pull an upset off with Louisville. I think they can take that game home. So I'm going with SMU. Auburn and Georgia. The thing about Auburn, they've been pulling off upsets for years. So I don't want to count Auburn out. But based on the Alabama and Georgia game, I'm going to go with Georgia because I think Georgia on paper could pull it off much more than Auburn pulling off an upset. So I'm going to go with Georgia. Ole Miss and South Carolina, I'm going Ole Miss. Indiana, Northwestern, I'm going with Indiana. Alabama, who are they playing? Alabama's playing Vanderbilt. I'm going with Alabama. Clemson and Florida State, I'm going with Clemson. I thought Florida State was going to be pretty good this year. Hey, next year, I think they're going to be back and running. But I'm going with Clemson. Utah and Boise State. I'm going with Boise State. Boise State's kind of good this time. This year. Boise State's pretty good. I'm going with Tennessee. Tennessee, Michigan, USC. I'm going with those teams this weekend. UCF and Florida. I'm going to go with UCF. They put up a pretty good fight with Colorado. So I'm going to go with UCF. Florida, they're pretty good as well, but I think UCF is going to close it out. I'm going with Miami versus California. Miami is on a roll right now. I mean, they have a lot of momentum. I think Miami is going to definitely pull it off against California and do that. Like I said, I watch a little bit of football. I love football. And I know some people are putting in, the reason why I have this segment as well, because a lot of people are starting to do parlays and sports bets and stuff like that. And I'm not encouraging betting. I am not. But I have seen people post on their stories and stuff like that they put a sports bet in and they won, and they use that money, save their money to have for like a down payment for a home and stuff like that. Like I said, I am not encouraging betting, but these are things that I have seen people do or help get to the point of with a down payment. So with that being said, those are my picks. People would say, some people will argue, hey, well, sports betting doesn't help you save for your down payment. Hey, in this situation, right, like I said, I'm not encouraging sports betting, but I've seen people, they put a couple bets in, they win, and they save some money. Now, like I said, I am not here promoting or pushing gambling, but if that's something that you do, you could use it for your down payment. Like, say for example, if you're making $10,000 a month on sports betting, well, you're one great sports bettor for sure. But if you're making $10,000 a month consistently for 2 years and you're filing your taxes with that amount that you're making, then possibly we can use it for income. But if you're doing it as just a hobby and you're really good at picking teams and picking bets, then you can use it as a down payment. Just has to make sense and make sure it makes sense for you.